Hello and welcome to your Urban Connection. This is the show that is intended to inform and educate you. You will see shows here that you won't see on your local ABC, NBC, CBS. You won't see them. Your local newspaper, you won't see these stories. Your local black paper, you probably won't see these stories. Okay? Tonight, I'm going to be a little bit more on the educational side, for this is a show about a woman that I think each and every American, and in particular African American, should be aware of, should know who she is, should know about her past, because it is very intriguing. And let me show you the woman that I'm talking about. And I want to share with you all that uh, this woman is unlike some of the other people that you might know, and she is uh, a modern day activist and a very unique woman. There you have it. That's the picture of none other than Harriet Tubman. Now, it seems like, excuse me, seems like all of my adult life I've been hearing about Harriet Tubman being uh, the face of the United States $20 bill, which now has the face of Andrew Jackson and has had Andrew Jackson's face on there since about 18 or maybe 1929. Now, this woman was first proposed to be on the $20 bill during the first Trump administration. And of course, while it was not proposed by Trump, it was supposed to happen and occur during his first term. Of course, as we all know, that didn't happen. And then, of course, Joe Biden became president, and it was thought for sure that it would occur during his 4-year term in office. That didn't happen. And now we have a situation where it is being proposed once again. It's back on the table. It's not off the table, even though many of us thought it was. But thanks to a New Hampshire senator by the name of Jeanne Shaheen, there's a new effort to get this back on the table again in Congress. As a matter of fact, a measure to replace Andrew Jackson with abolitionist Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill is being taken up once again in Congress. Now, this announcement was made less than a week ago, well, maybe a little bit more than a week ago, on Monday. Monday's announcement is the latest push to honor Tubman on the currency and remove Jackson, the country's seventh president and a slaveholder. It follows a decade-long effort of previous attempts, including through legislation that has stalled in Congress. The announcement also coincides with Harriet Tubman Day, a holiday honoring the activists who led enslaved people to freedom on the Underground Railroad. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is a woman, you just heard me say that Andrew Jackson, former president, uh, was a slaveholder. Harriet Tubman was just the opposite. See, a lot of people don't know that Harriet Tubman basically put her life on the line and risked her life to free slaves in America. Okay? Now, this is even more enlightening when you consider the fact that she herself was born into slavery. All right? But she was someone that believed in freedom, freedom for all Americans, regardless of color. She freed many, many, many slaves during her time. And we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about some of the actions that she took, some of the positions she took, some of the risks that she took to basically make it possible for you and I and anyone watching this that is of African American descent to be here and be able to watch this video tonight. Okay? So let's get it on. But I think if you have children, I don't care how young, how old they should see and watch this video because you're going to learn a lot. So let's get on with the story. The new bill that is being proposed by New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen is called the Harriet Tubman Tribute Act of 2025. And it calls for the Treasury Secretary to include the abolitionist face on all $20 bills printed after December the 31st, 2030. Okay? Now you heard me right, 2030. All right? And of course, we all have to understand that it takes a few years to put in motion and go from A to Z when you're talking about introducing a new face on a coin or a paper money. But one would think that with this being talked about, reacted to by members of Congress way the hell back in 2015, you would think that there had be some advancements, there'd be less work to do. You would think we could get this into production before 2030. But here's the catch. It might not even be 2030. So let's talk a little bit more about what Jeanne Shaheen proposed. The proposed legislation also stipulates that the production of these bills cannot be delayed more than 2 years unless it is determined that issuing the bills after the designated date would create an unacceptable risk of counterfeiting or to the safe, secure, and speedy functioning of the United States economy. Now, here's what I want you to read into this. First of all, I'm going to be the first one to tell you this, I guarantee you, this is not going to happen during the presidency of Donald J. Trump. I guarantee you it's not going to happen. Donald J. Trump, the United States' biggest racist and probably the biggest hater of African American women in this country, is not going to put this woman's face on a $20 bill. He's not going to do it. If he was, he would have did it in his first term. This should have been a done deal by now, but it's not. And I guess that's why Jeanne Shaheen put this on not until December 31st of 2030. Okay? Because in the first place, Trump's current term, will not be over until 2028. Now, I know it sounds crazy. I know it goes against the Constitution, but there is a slim chance that these idiot GOP congressmen and senators will try to get him through a 2028 election, which would carry him through 2032. Okay, so that is why she's put these proposals in there. Okay, now, New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen, a Democrat who will introduce the bill, says images on U.S. paper currency reflect America's values and history and tell the country's story. And when we talk about history, you must remember, we're going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute. But remember, it's Donald J. Trump who's not trying to add any African American history to any books in the United States, any museums, even the Smithsonian. He's removing, not adding African Americans. Okay? Now, an abolitionist and true patriot who sacrificed so much for the betterment of our nation, Harriet Tubman is nothing short of an American icon, Shaheen said. Women and girls, especially communities of color, deserve to see themselves represented and celebrated in meaningful ways. And I couldn't agree with you more, Ms. Shaheen. And they deserve to know that their contributions are honored and recognized. Very well said, ma'am. Now, the great, great, great grandniece of Harriet Tubman, whose name is Ernestine Martin Wyatt, that's Wyatt, tells NPR that honoring her aunt on the $20 bill would mean freedom. That's what she fought for. That's what she believed in. Okay? Now, that's what was on her mind all the time. Freedom, inclusiveness, justice, and equality. That's what democracy is, Mrs. Wyatt said. How are we going to make a better country without including people, without justice, without equality, without freedom, most of all, and freedom? Okay? Mrs. Tubman was born into slavery in Dorchester County, Maryland, around 1822 as Amita Ross Tubman. She married John Tubman, a free black man, in 1844 and escaped to Philadelphia on September 17th, 1849. All right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, these are things that are notable, or noteworthy, and should be in every library in the United States of America. They should be in the museum. This woman should be in the museum. All museums all across the country. People, young people, black people need to know about this woman and her history. She should be recognized. She should be honored. She's done something that is not only admirable, it's an achievement that has been accomplished by none other than I know of. But her journey to freedom did not stop there. She risked her life to free her family and other enslaved persons repeatedly as a conductor of the Underground Railroad, traveling by night using the North Star as a guide to South and back to the North. She was also a nurse and a Union spy during the Civil War, becoming the first woman to lead a major military operation when she guided 150 black Union soldiers in the Cumberland Ferry Raid. During the operation in June of 1863, more than 700 enslaved persons were rescued. That's a risk she was willing to take, and she was successful. Known as Moses Tubman, she helped 70 enslaved persons escape to freedom during her time as a conductor on the Underground Railroad. During a women's suffrage convention in 1896, she spoke of her time as a conductor, famously saying, "I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger." While Wyatt, the great-great-great-grandniece, appreciates the renewed effort by Mr. Shaheen, she says she is not confident it will occur under the Trump administration. She's absolutely right. Okay? She has every reason not to be confident. I am not confident, and you should not be either. Knowing the history of the 34-time convicted felon who's in the White House as we speak. And not only has the endeavor been held up in Congress, it has also faced delays with the White House and Treasury Department. Now, you see, back in Trump's first term, not only was he refusing to put this woman's face on the bill, also, who's probably just as racist as Trump was his Treasury Secretary, a guy by the name of Steve Mnuchin. Many of you have heard of him. He rejected the idea and put it off several years. until the Trump administration was out of office. Okay? In April of 2016, Treasury Secretary Jacob Lew announced that the Tubman portrait would be on a redesigned $20 note to be unveiled in 2020. That didn't happen. The image of Jackson was slated to be moved to the bill's reverse side, an action that Wyatt says the family objected to because her aunt and the seventh president of the United States were an antithesis of each other. Remember, I said he was a slaveholder. She was a slave rescuer. Okay? Now, so we get to this, ladies and gentlemen. He held slaves. She freed slaves. They are just so opposing, she said. During the first Trump administration, then Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, who I just talked about, said in 2019 that a new design for the $20 bill would not occur until 2028. You see, I told you that he pushed it back, okay? He pushed it back until Trump was out of office. He reiterated that to reporters the following year. In January 2021, during the Biden administration, then White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said during a news briefing that the Treasury Department was taking steps to resume efforts to place Tubman on the bill. President Trump, who praised Tubman as one of several American heroes who represent what is best in America and her citizens, in January said in 2016 that the change in currency was pure political correctness. He also said he would rather leave Jackson on the $20 bill and that it would be more appropriate for Tubman to be placed on another form of currency, such as the $2 bill. Now, let me tell you what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen. In the first place, the proposal, now I don't know who made it, but the proposal to put before Donald Trump to put Jackson, remove Jackson from the front of the $20 bill and put him on the back of the $20 bill and place this woman on the front was never ever going to happen under the Trump administration. Not in 100 years it wasn't going to happen. And it did not happen. Now, putting her on a $2 bill. Well, why the hell not a $1 bill, Mr. Trump? If you want to go to the bottom, why not the $1 bill, you idiot? NPR reached out to the White House, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, and the Treasury Department for comment on Monday, but have not received a response. And don't hold your breath, I'll tell you that. The new redesign of the $20 bill is scheduled for issuance in 2030 on a timeline with other bills to address risk mitigation and counterfeiting concerns, according to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Shaheen said she will pursue all avenues to ensure that Tubman will be recognized on the currency. Now, I want to show you just a minute here the prototype of what had been made, picturing and featuring this woman on the $20 bill before. Okay, there it is. All right, this is what they had proposed. Okay, and like I said, it never happened. But there it is. Okay, that is Miss Harriet Tubman, featured on the $20 bill. The prototype, that is. Okay, now, Shaheen says, I'm advocating and making this move under 4 different administrations now. While some officials have been supportive, it hasn't yet been done, which illustrates why it is so important that Congress step up, especially now, as this administration attacks efforts to embrace our nation's diverse culture and history. But Wyatt, Tubman's relative, says that no matter what political party is in control, she doesn't want the issue to be delayed any further, and has a message for Congress and the White House. Honor what was started and give her the recognition that she needs to have. Okay. Now I want to show you just a moment. I want to show you the great grandniece here, and let me see if I can get that up here for you. I think I can, and I want to show you this woman. Give me just a minute. And she lives in Maryland. She's still alive. She's in Maryland, and she's very involved with this proposal and this project, keeping it on the front burner, keeping it on the table. Okay, no matter what she has to go through, that's what she's doing. Let me see if I can get her up here. Okay, okay, okay. Messed up. I didn't get her up there. I want to try it again. Okay, there she is. Okay, here's her great grandniece, and this woman's name is Ernestine Martin Wyatt, and she says you don't have to like us, you don't have to even want to support us or anything like that, but just do the right thing. You go to other countries, and you'll see other women, white and black, that are on money already, not coins, but paper currency. Okay? That's a nice ask, ma'am. It's a bold ask, but I'm afraid that your request will not be honored anytime soon by the Trump administration. All right? We can only hope that we could, first of all, move this process up to take place before 2030 with the advent of a different administration and hopefully a Democrat administration, because that's the only way that I see this happening anytime soon. But this is a woman, and you all talk about Rosa Parks, and you give Rosa Parks all the recognition and all the honors, and she's deserving of them, don't get me wrong. But in my opinion, no one is more deserving and deserves more recognition and more honorable considerations than Harriet Tubman. Okay? Keep it on your mind. This woman, Harriet Tubman, is the hero that fought for us, okay? Freed many of us, our forefathers and mothers, okay? Made it possible for us to be here to produce this show and for you to watch this show. And I hope that you have learned and been educated on this show. All right? I intend to educate and inform you with each show that I produce here. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the show, I would only ask you to do two things: subscribe to the program and like the show. And by the way, if you have any comments, whether they be good, bad, or indifferent about this program, feel free to share it in the comments section of the show. Okay? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.